Hey everyone, and welcome to Minerves on the Move. My name is Jocelyn Minerve. I'm one of five. So if you're new to my channel, it's myself, my husband, our three kids, and we currently live abroad in Honduras. Our channel is all about living life abroad, life in Honduras, Blaxit, but we also have some amazing people that we get to introduce and bring to our channel to talk about their Blaxit experience, which we have today, Dr. Linda Eno. She's an amazing Black woman. She is a plethora of knowledge. She's also a content creator. So if you follow her on Tokeny Travel, she is amazing, but I'm going to let her introduce herself tonight for everyone.
Hey, hi everybody. Thank you so much for having me, Jocelyn. I just love this whole YouTube thing because we get to know each other through our channels, and then, eventually someday we'll meet in person, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm so excited to be here on your channel today and talk about my experience and, share our experiences and all of that. So, my name is Linda Eno. I am a wife and mom of four. They are 9 as of today, 9, 8, no, 9, 7,
Happy
and 5.
birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And 5-year-old twins. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll talk more about our background and all of that in
Yeah.
our chat. But yeah, I'm really excited about the Blaxit and to talk about my African perspective.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. And it's funny how you were just talking about how this YouTube world works. If you're watching us right now, we have literally
Yeah.
never met each other. And I was literally in my house yesterday, like, how did we meet? I remember sending an email because I was watching your channel because like many of you out there, I had gone back and forth like Latin American countries, African countries, where did I want to go? And I don't know how, but YouTube just suggested you. And I just started following your channel and watching your videos. And I was like, man, I want to go to the Ivory Coast. I want to go to Cameroon. Do you remember how we met? I couldn't remember.
I don't know. It was your channel was probably suggested as well.
Yeah.
Because funny thing is that the other day, I think it was this morning or yesterday, I was looking in the Facebook book where I thought I met you, but you weren't in there. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So it was
YouTube
through
bringing
YouTube.
us all together. Hey, from NYC. Hey, Billy Be Kind. I see we have someone on the channel. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, yeah.
So tonight is all about for those who are ready to leave the United States or whatever country you're from, and you are ready to exit and make that move abroad, and you are either back and forth, or maybe you have decided you are on Team Latin America or you're on Team Africa. And it's going to be fun. So this is actually going to be a two-part live.
Yes.
How it's going to work is we have 10 questions. And now these are the top 10 questions from both of our channels that we see our subscribers ask us about life abroad. Some of these questions could be like, how family friendly is the country? Or how far does the dollar go? How safe is the country? So we have the top 10 questions, and I'm going to pull them out of this jar. They're all in here labeled 1 through 10. So tonight we're going to answer 5 of them here. Then we're going to have the comments open for you guys, anything that you want to know. But tomorrow we're going to finish the rest of the live on Tokeny Travel. So if you've not added that, I don't know if you want to put it in the chat box. If you want to do that, Linda, put it in your channel. So tomorrow, if you are not subscribed, definitely go over there. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the first question. And we have not prepared this at all, you guys. This is real life right now. So these are honest questions. So number 8. Question number 8 is, let's see.
What's question number 8?
Ooh, do you see yourself living there forever? So I'll start because I get this question all the time. So I am in Honduras right now. When I think about, I'm going to try to keep it general and think about Latin America. Honduras, I would say it's definitely number 1 top country. So I've lived in Argentina, Dominican Republic, Panama. I've traveled to Puerto Rico, but Honduras is one of my favorite countries. There's a huge stigma from decades ago of Honduras being dangerous, and I'll get more into that later. But it's not. There are some dangerous parts, but I don't go there. The reason why I love Honduras is because where we are in San Pedro Sula, we are in the middle of everything. I feel like a kept secret from people back home is the diversity of the actual biodiversity in Honduras. So we're an hour away from the beach. We're an hour away from hikes, beaches, rivers, waterfalls. We can get to islands, volcanoes. Like we can get to everything in Honduras. And the Spanish language, the food. So could I see us living here forever, even with all that the dollar goes far? I can't see us living here forever. I could see us living here for a long time. I could see us leaving and coming back, but forever, Spanish is not my first language. So sometimes I'm like, I want to speak English, or sometimes I just want to eat hamburgers the way we make them back home, which is totally unhealthy.
Right.
I would say I can't see myself living here forever, but I could really see myself being here a very long time.
Ooh, nice. I love that answer. For us, we actually, when we decided on moving, we decided that it was going to be a temporary move. We never said that it would be a forever. Hold on, let me backtrack. Actually, no, because before we got married, my husband and I always knew that he wanted to go back to Cameroon to quote unquote retire. Okay, so that would be the forever home, right? Because that's where he's originally from. And so I always said, yes, I'm down for it and everything, but just not now, not yet. And so, and that was 12 years ago when we started talking about that. But recently, when we started talking about our Blaxit and our move, we are looking at it as a temporary move. We're not saying that it's going to be a forever move yet. We are we're not putting the pressure on ourselves with, okay, let's just go and forget about the US.
Yeah.
But we said, okay, 2 to 5 years, just because a move, cross-continental move requires a lot. And so we're like, okay, we're good for 2 to 5 years. And then we'll see if we want to stay longer, then we stay longer. But we're not saying, okay, this is it and it has to work. So.
Okay. So you're not in the forever boat either. It's so hard because I think some of us, like, when you Blaxit, when you leave the US, you might have the intention, like, I traveled there once and I know this is my people, this is my place. But I think it also like ignites a light in you, like, I can do this and I want to do it again. Like, you keep running into like-minded people like you. I have a coworker who all he talks about is the Netherlands, which was never on my radar. But now I'm like, man, I really want to go to the Netherlands, and I'll be there one day.
Yeah, you realize that the world is really huge and you have so many opportunities to go to other places. So why would you just pick just one place and make it your forever home?
Exactly. Yeah. I see we have someone from California. Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey.
Okay, so next question. Again, this is real life, you guys. Ooh, question number 1. What is something that you didn't expect about the country that you really love?
Wow.
This isn't the that you don't like, because that is one of the questions, but the one that you really love.
So many things, but something I didn't expect. So many things that I expected, because it's sub-Saharan country. So I'm talking about Ivory Coast, specifically Cote d'Ivoire, because it's sub-Saharan country. So it's Black people everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, so that's something
I'm like thinking Wakanda. Like, it's like
Wakanda. It's like being in Wakanda. I mean, so I expected it. And so that would not answer the question, but that's definitely a great thing. It's a great feeling. I taught at an HBCU I went to a predominantly white college, and then I taught as a professor at an HBCU, and then at a PWI. And so that experience, for me, it was great just to be like with a lot of Black people around, because it was special, right?
Yeah.
But being on the continent and being in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, is just something magical about it, being surrounded with other Black people. So that's something I expected. But something I didn't expect is how comfortable life can be like. I stayed for 10 days and I stayed at my friend's house, my best friend's house. So I didn't do the hotel or anything like that. And I was just like looking at her living her life. Like I was like, okay, this is going to be my life, like next
Yeah.
year or something like that. And I was just like, this is life. I
What do
can get
you
used to.
what do you mean by comfortable? Like as far as like the resources, or
Um,
is it like the attitude
she
of?
had two nannies, a driver, a chef
Sounds
at
very
home,
comfortable.
full time at home. Like they live there,
Wow.
except the driver would come in the morning, but everybody else is there. So she didn't have to cook anything. I'm a good cook, but I don't really enjoy cooking. So
Yeah.
that for me was huge.
Yeah.
Um, the type of food, type of restaurant that you can have access to. If you want to eat Thai food, you can eat Thai food. If you want to eat expensive restaurant, you can eat expensive restaurant. If you want to eat on a street food, you can have street food.
Yeah.
Um, the basically I wasn't missing anything from the US while I was there. I didn't stay for a long time,
Yeah.
but only my kids because they didn't come. But it was I was just like, man, I could move here tomorrow. I was
Yeah. I was
at
thinking the same
peace with
thing.
everything. I'm like, what are we waiting for? Let's
Yeah.
just do this. So that's something that I did
Now,
not
would you say
expect.
that's normal? Is that like normal, typical of people who are expats going to Cameroon or going to other countries in Africa? Is that like a normal lifestyle?
And the thing is that she's not even living like an expat. She's
Oh,
Ivorian and she's living in a regular neighborhood with other Ivorians. She's not living in a neighborhood. I mean, she's not like in a ghetto or anything like that. But she's not like in a that you have expat pockets.
yeah.
No, she's just living in a regular neighborhood, not like with embassies and all of that. No.
Okay, so
And
it's a typical lifestyle. That sounds extremely comfortable.
yeah, it was to me it was like I felt very safe, very comfortable walking around in her neighborhood,
Yeah.
driving around even with the crazy traffic and everything. And to me was like I could easily project myself in her
Hmm.
life. Yes.
Um, so when I think about my expectations, and I'm gonna speak from Honduras, even though I've lived in other parts of Latin America. That's where I am right
Mhm.
now. Um, the irony of it all is when you look up things in Honduras, or when you talk to people about Honduras, they're like, "Oh my God, Honduras! Like I heard it's so dangerous. Like, did you know that? Like, people are telling me more. But I didn't even like. Everyone's an Honduran expert, and so the
Right.
irony of it all is, for me, the thing that I love most about this country that I didn't expect was how safe I do feel here. And
Mm.
when I think about how safe I feel here, I think about how safe I feel inside my body.
Oh, I
Now,
love that.
I feel like in the States, as Black people, people of color, women,
Hmm.
people have a lot of misconceptions about us. They're judging us, or
Yep.
I feel like at work I always had to be the best,
Yes.
or I could never be angry. But here I can be my true, authentic self,
Hmm.
and people accept me as that. I like to operate in my feminine here, which I didn't do in the US. Like I didn't feel
Oh,
comfortable or safe enough to do
interesting.
that. And I feel like I can do that here, the irony of it.
Hmm.
Um, and then catrachos, hondureños, they are the most friendliest, nicest, caring people that I've ever met.
Oh,
Like
nice.
that I came in contact with, and
Amazing.
I don't like, there have been a few people, especially if I'm in a neighborhood that's majority Garifuna,
Hmm.
where they have me asking, like, are you Garifuna? Is your family Garifuna? Like, why are you here? But outside of that, I think most people know the 6 foot tall Black girl with natural hair walking around is not from here, and I am a foreigner. But I
Hmm.
have never met a stranger here. I have always
Wow.
felt comfortable. And like you said, I do recognize my privilege in that I am American. I've come here with my degree, my resources. I'm financially stable, but I would never feel comfortable being my authentic self walking in the best neighborhoods of Atlanta.
Mm.
I feel unsafe in those neighborhoods with
Yeah.
upper middle class white Americans. I feel unsafe. I feel unsafe with people who look different than me. And
Hmm.
here, the irony, what I love about here is I can operate as myself instead
Yes.
of operating in like fear or a state of oppression or anything like that. Like I love that about here. And that's just my personal experience. So
Yeah. And I love that you're saying that because, even if it's something that is deep in you, unconsciously, we're passing it to our kids.
we
And that's
are.
something, once I realized that, I was like, I don't want to pass those insecurities or fears or anything like that into my kids because they're still kids and I don't want to condition them
We
to walk
are.
a certain way or fear certain things just because I am fearful of
Hmm.
something. So I'm glad you
Yeah, I'm
mentioned that.
noticing more and more here how I operated in fear, but it was like a necessary fear back home. It
Yeah.
was a necessary fear, like even with myself saying, "Oh, I have to be the best at my job."
Yeah.
I think it's even as Black women, we tell our kids, whether overtly or covertly, like, you
Mhm.
have to be the best in school. Like
Yeah.
you have to be the best. Like you have to be the smartest. And there's nothing wrong with wanting high expectations academically for your children
Hmm.
and rigor for your children.
Hmm.
However, is it because I want my kids to be highly educated and I want them to have these resources available to them? Or
Yeah.
am I parenting them also in fear? Like you have
Yes.
to be the best because you are going to grow up to be a 6 foot tall Black male
Yeah.
and you need to be
Yeah.
articulate and well spoken and well traveled and well dressed and you have to be this. But
Yeah.
here I can be my authentic self, which I've never been able to be. So
Ah, that's
it's so great.
wonderful.
It's great. Okay, these juicy questions. These juicy questions, y'all.
I love
And
it.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull another one. Number 5. So let's see what do we have. Question 5
Number 5.
is how safe
All
is the
right.
country? And we're kind of just talking about it. So um, you can go ahead. I don't know if you want to talk about Cameroon, Ivory Coast, or just
Sure. And actually, it's interesting because so specifically, so we're considering Cameroon and Cote d'Ivoire. Cameroon, um, depending on where you go. So technically, officially, Cameroon has a quote unquote war zone right now.
mm-hmm.
So Cameroon is both English and French speaking. So the English speaking part of Cameroon is a minority, and it's a minority that has for many, many years been oppressed by the French speaking side because they don't get the same job opportunities in the either public or private sector and all of that. So that part has, I don't know how long it's been now, maybe 5 years or something like that. So there's a lot of insecurity in certain parts of Cameroon.
Yeah.
So my husband is English speaking, so he's from that part. So there are certain areas where they wouldn't go right now. Okay, so they stay in the capital and all of that. So if you were to travel into the capital and all of that, it's completely safe. Most areas are safe and everything, and that's why we're okay moving there with our family and all of that. But however, there's still that part that is not super stable right now. So that's
Okay.
one thing about Cameroon. When it comes to Cote d'Ivoire, it is safe. Yes, it's considered safe. All parts, whether you go to the capital city, Yamoussoukro or Abidjan, big city, or even if you go further out into the countryside, it's considered really, really safe for
Mhm.
foreigners and for women as
That
well.
that was actually the question I was wondering because I know that you both have family from Africa and
Mm,
specifically Cameroon for your husband's side, right?
yes,
And
yes.
your side is all.
My family's from the Congo, so the DR
Oh,
Congo.
I did
But
not realize that at all.
yes, and it's funny because it's a whole it's a whole story. So my family is originally from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I've never been to the Congo, but I'm Congolese. I was born and raised in Morocco, but I'm not Moroccan. And I came to the US 20 years ago, married my husband. Now I'm American.
Okay.
And but so it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And so now by marriage, I'm quote unquote Cameroonian. But so home for me is a little complicated. It depends on who when you ask me and who asks me. Sometimes I say Morocco is home. Sometimes I just say Africa is home. Sometimes I say Houston is home. So it depends on who's asking.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so he has most of his families in Cameroon, but a big part here in the US
Mm-hmm.
as well. And for me,
Mm-hmm.
a big part, most of my family's in the Congo that I don't even know because I've never been. and some family here in
Yeah.
the US and in Europe as well.
Do you think the safety is like your perception of how safe you feel also like it might be different because of the familiarity as far as like, well, my husband's family is from here, or do you think people who are just like, I'm born in LA and I just want to go, I want to know my roots, and I did a DNA test, like, do you think it is safe for someone who's just like, I'm a foreigner?
I would say yes. It depends on where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's just like going to the Congo. There's been the war zone. I mean, in the Congo as well, the country I'm from, on the eastern part of the Congo. I would not say don't go to the Congo, because more chances are you're going to go to Kinshasa, the capital, or maybe the western part of the Congo, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not going to go to the border with Rwanda, because that's where all the conflicts are.
Yeah.
So would I say don't go to the Congo? No, because I actually want to go this year, and my parents go there all the time. So it depends on where you go. It
Yeah.
depends. It really depends on where you go. So I would say if you want to go to Cameroon, definitely go and visit. Just be aware of where you're going. I would say that if my husband wasn't Cameroonian, maybe I would be more unaware of what's really going on there, and so maybe
Mm-hmm.
I would have a more um, not naive, but I wouldn't be as informed. And because he goes all the time, family
Yeah.
members go all the time, so I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
Right? So it's not something I'm concerned with.
I love how you use that word when you said I wouldn't be as informed.
Yeah.
I think about, as far as answering the question, how safe is the country? I'm here in Honduras. Like, I wasn't informed, when I knew, like, if I'm being honest, Honduras was not on our radar. We knew we were going. We were like, we're leaving. We knew we were leaving the US, but
Yeah.
we were thinking we were either going to Panama or Mexico. We were like,
Mm.
Panama or Mexico. We also thought Senegal too, but I was,
You didn't tell me about
overwhelmed with learning French. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get this language. I already know Spanish. I'm just gonna stick with these two. But that still didn't happen. The opportunity presented itself in Honduras. And I feel like we were lucky because I was uninformed. I went into an interview like, oh, I don't really know much about Honduras. And then I listened to the people who were living there saying, oh, we have this, and we have these islands, and we have a Garifuna culture and baleadas. Like, I heard all the great things about Honduras first.
Mm.
And then I went down a YouTube rabbit hole of like a guy.
Of course.
The guy still has 4 million views, y'all. If you type in Honduras on YouTube right now, I'm sure it's the first video. And I hate that video. It's such a bad perception of the entire country.
Oh.
And so I came in uninformed, which it worked out into our benefit. So I didn't really have any assumptions about the safety.
Yeah.
Now that I'm here, when I think about my physical safety, because I just spoke about like how I feel emotionally and inside, I feel fine. I honestly don't feel, and this is my perception, I don't feel any more unsafe than I did when I lived in Atlanta, when I lived in Indianapolis.
Great.
As long as you make as long as you take the same steps that you would take in any major city.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go to Atlanta in the middle of the night by myself, walking through Vine City, like, hello, I'm all alone. I have valuables. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I would not do that in San Pedro Sula. But even with that, I walk day, night. I take Uber. I'm alone. I've been places where I've only no one speaks English. Everyone speaks Spanish. It's pushed me to do better with my Spanish speaking skills. But I've been in some situations where all I've been surrounded by is hardworking people who, if anything, they're curious. They're curious about where I'm from.
Yes.
But Honduras does have some challenges, but I would say the challenges do not outweigh all the amazing things. Also, if you just want to do a wiki search, I actually did it earlier today. I was looking at like the list of homicide rates, and before San Pedro Sula, there was Milwaukee, Detroit, Cancun, Baltimore, New Orleans, all these cities that we go to in the States or outside of the States that we don't worry. We don't worry about going to the
We don't even bat an eye. We just go, let's go to New Orleans.
Nope, we're going to the Essence Fest. We're going to Mardi Gras. We're getting our beignets. We walking alone at night after
Yeah.
sipping on drinks. And I'm telling y'all, go on Wiki right now. It will tell
Yeah.
you the homicide rate is higher there. So
Yeah.
I've never felt unsafe. Not saying
Oh,
that.
and by the way, where and when did you learn Spanish?
Girl, see, why you have to put me on YouTube to ask me that? I'm always so embarrassed when people ask me
Why?
that question. Okay. You're gonna know why I'm so embarrassed because so this is where I learned Spanish.
Okay.
I graduated from Spelman College.
Okay.
I am a Spelman graduate, HBCU, and the whole time there I was a theater major. I was a theater major because I loved creative writing, but it was more like an acting base, and I am not an actress.
Hmm.
So my junior year, maybe my senior year, I'm not certain. I had to take Spanish 101. I kept pushing it off because
Okay.
I kept saying, I hate Spanish. I don't like Spanish. And I realized now I just had a horrible Spanish teacher in high school. So that's why
Oh.
I thought I hated it. So I took Spanish 101 at Spelman College with Dr. Goodall. He was amazing. He took us all on a trip to Dominican Republic.
Ooh.
Girl, it was the best trip of my life. I fell in love with the language, the culture. And in my junior year, I switched my major.
What?
I switched my major to Spanish literature. And so my senior year, I took every single course for the Spanish major for Spelman to graduate my senior year. And then I had an extra semester. So I call that my super senior year, graduate with a degree in Spanish literature.
Wow.
But I don't like telling people that.
Why not? This is a great
Spanish
story.
should be so much better. Like it should be. Like I have a whole degree in Spanish literature, y'all. I had to read Don Quixote and so many other Spanish
That's
texts.
amazing.
But it's really. I used to teach Spanish. I taught back in 2011. But if you don't use it, the truth is you will lose it. I lost it.
True. That's true. You have to practice. You have to practice.
So yeah, just put me on blast, y'all. Dr. Linda Eno right here. Okay, so next question.
All right.
We have two more. Number 9. Let's see what number 9 is.
What's that?
We have. Oh man, like tonight, y'all. It's coming.
You're supposed to talk more about it.
It's the language barrier. I'm gonna let you start.
Is there a language barrier? No, because I'm fluent in French. French is my mother tongue. It's funny because now that I've been in the US for 20 years, it's a little more challenging for me to speak French because I learned.
No, see if you lose it.
Right? It's like there are things that I cannot say in French. Like I cannot talk about my dissertation research in French because I did it all in English and it was technical and all that. So
I think that's okay. If you can't use your French for your dissertation, I think you're fine. I don't think expats will be using that.
Right, but like when I tell my friends about what I did for my PhD and all of that, and it's like, what do you say in French and all that. So it's a little complicated for me to explain it in French. There are things that I still only can do in French, like the month of the year, counting past 10. I can only count in French. Those are things that have stuck with me. But the rest is English. The first spontaneous, I dream in English. Spontaneously, everything comes out in English.
Yeah.
So for Côte d'Ivoire, there's no barrier because most people speak English. Most people speak French there. So there's no.
Is there access? Let's say if you didn't speak French, like would you kind of just be like out of luck, or?
I would say it might not be I'm going to say, if I were to compare with, for example, another Francophone French-speaking country in Sub-Saharan Africa, like, for example, Senegal. In Senegal, for example, most people will speak one of the Senegalese dialects, like the Wolof, right? But will not speak French. So if you speak French, it's a big advantage, but it might not even help you in certain situations because you don't understand Wolof. Just like, for example, in Ghana, speaking English obviously is great, but if you speak Twi as well, it's even better, right? So,
Mhm.
but in Cote d'Ivoire, there are so many dialects that there's none really that is like national that everybody speak. So
Mhm.
French would be that. So most
Okay.
people would speak French,
So
and
it's like the language that connects everyone.
yes,
French.
yes, it
Okay.
would be French. And in Cameroon, it's French and English. So, but mostly French as
Okay.
well. Yeah.
Um, Honduras language barrier. You are going to need to know Spanish, you guys.
Yeah.
Now, well, it's honest, I take that back because I can't speak for the whole country. In San Pedro Sula, if you decide to move here, it would behoove you to learn Spanish.
Mm.
Now, will there be people who are like, people will see me and they'll say, USA, USA, and like try to practice their English?
Yeah, of
Yes,
course.
there will be. There are going to be people who speak. And if you're working for an English speaking company, so if you come to work for an international school or something like that,
Mhm.
people will speak English. Now, once you leave outside of San Pedro Sula, I would say it switches back to Spanish. However, a lot of the islands, so people have thought that I was from Roatan, and that's because in
Mhm.
Roatan, a lot of the Garifuna people, who people will think that I am Garifuna or they will call me mulatto, which is like
Mhm.
mixed, although I'm not mixed. They speak English. They speak English on some of
Hmm.
those islands. So depending
Interesting.
if you're going to Roatan or if you're going to La Ceiba, it really depends. However, everyone speaks Spanish, so speak Spanish. Um,
Yeah.
I would say the barrier is, let's say you do come here and you've been practicing your Duolingo or you've been speaking Spanish, is everywhere the dialect is different.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to speak for the countries that I have lived in. So when I lived in Buenos Aires, I like they don't speak Spanish. They will tell you we speak Castellano. They use
Ooh.
vosotros, vos. The
Both, right?
grammar
Yeah.
is different. They don't say fresa, which is strawberry. They say frutilla. They don't
Ooh.
say bus. They say colectivo. So there's words
Okay.
that are going to be different if you're in Buenos Aires or if you're in Honduras. When I lived in Dominican Republic, that was like learning Spanish all over again.
Right,
Like
right, right.
that is, I was young, y'all. It was really sexy.
Younger.
I
You're
was
still
young.
young. You're still young.
I was young, and it was also, it's a different dialect. It's like the States. You go to Atlanta, people in Atlanta talk different from the people who are in southern Mississippi and
Yeah.
Texas, all the way to New York. Everyone talks different. They're gonna say
Right,
different things.
right,
So
right.
the language can be a barrier sometimes, but one point I want to make about that, and I would say this has to do with all languages, is
Mhm.
if you are Blaxing right now, whether it's a country, Latin America, Africa, you are Blaxing at a great time. And I say that because I lived in Argentina for nearly a year in 2011, and we did not have Uber,
Mhm.
Hugo Eats,
Google Translate.
no, none of that stuff. We didn't have, there wasn't a fire stick. I
Yeah.
to this day I tell everyone I am a Two and a Half Men fan, and I never. The reason why I'm a Two and a Half Men fan is because that was the only English speaking show in Buenos Aires at the time, and I just wanted to watch something in English.
Right.
And you would get in the taxi, and you couldn't. Right now with Uber in Honduras, I just get my phone. I
Yeah.
put it in, and I don't have to talk. Of course, I'm going to say when I started this, hola.
Right.
But I could technically just sit back there. The Uber's just going to follow the GPS. So if your
Hmm.
fear is, oh my gosh, I don't speak any of the language, I
Yes.
still say go, because you're going to learn it just like I have learned so much being here. My
Mm.
kids spoke no Spanish, and now they're all correcting me.
Right.
That's my 3-year-old. He is like a fluent bilingual speaker,
Oh
and
my
it has
goodness.
not been a year. So with technology, you have Fire Stick, you have TV in English, you have
Wow.
your Uber in English, you have your Uber Eats in English. You
Yes.
can literally get to everything in English, even if everyone is speaking German. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
So
that's true. Even in Cote d'Ivoire as well. Like, not a lot, so most people, I would say everybody speaks French, right? And sometimes you'll encounter people who don't speak any English, but you can get by again with the same tools, Google Translate and things like that. you know, and you will have to you can easily find somebody who speaks English depending on which areas you go to. Like if you go to a coffee shop or something like that,
Yeah.
definitely somebody will be able to help you out.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because I'm definitely making my way there. Senegal is still on my
Yes,
radar. It's on
yes, you
my
need
radar.
to come on this side.
Car. No, that's not what the point of the live is. No, I'm here. Okay, so this is our last question for tonight. I can't
All
believe
right.
it. That was so fast. And it's question number 2. If
Okay.
you, before we get to question number 2, though, if you're on the live and you have a specific question about life abroad in Africa, in Latin America, Cameroon, Honduras, go ahead and drop it in the chat just so we can get to it right after this question. Let's see what it is. Question number 2. Oh, this is actually pretty good. What is something that you didn't expect about the country that you don't like? So we did what we did like, or did like. We did what we liked. Now
Yes.
let's talk about something we didn't expect that we don't like. I already know what mine is, and it's
Go ahead.
it's really shallow. It's shallow, and I spoke about it on my live about Honduras. Nobody told me, that they do not flush toilet paper down the
Oh,
toilet, which,
interesting.
yeah, see how you're like, oh, interesting. Like, that was not my reaction.
Because
That's
I've been in situations where it was normal, so I'm like, oh,
yeah,
interesting.
I'm like, oh, it's interesting. No, I was like, no. So that was something that I did not expect. And if you know me in my personal life, you know, my mom has raised me to be so like a clean freak about bathrooms. And the bathrooms are clean. One thing I will say about Honduras that probably should have been my thing I didn't expect is how clean everything is.
Mm.
Everything is always so clean, from the bathrooms to the school building to the malls. They're always cleaning. It is so clean here. You are not going to walk into a nasty Taco Bell bathroom here. I mean, there's
Oh,
not a Taco Bell, but you still wouldn't walk into that.
right.
But yeah, so we go to the bathroom, and every single stall there is a small, like a little small can, like a next to a trash can next to the toilet. So you put all your used toilet paper in there, and of course they change it out regularly. It's not just sitting in there, and
Yeah.
it doesn't smell. But when you go out further into the compost, like the countryside, so we're not in the modern city anymore, y'all. Or think of like the country of Louisiana or Georgia or wherever you're from. You're in the middle of nowhere, past Fresno in California. You're in the middle of nowhere. And now these smaller towns, they have the same setup, but they
Yeah.
don't they don't have the infrastructure, so they're not changing them as often. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm a city girl, first world person. I was not expecting that at all.
Wow, that's hard to get used to, huh?
Yeah, for me, I'm such a baby.
That's okay. I understand. I don't do public restrooms, even here in the US. I do not.
Yeah,
Even when
okay.
I was pregnant, I had to like the worst, like Walmart bathroom. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Otherwise, I never go to the public restroom.
Okay. So what's your
Something
clean
that
experience? Or is it perfect? Don't say it's perfect.
nah, no such thing. I would say, and it's funny because before I came to the US, we called it African time, and yeah, it's African time. It's just like Black people time.
Yeah. CP
It's
time.
it,
Color
it's
people time.
it's color people time. It can be very frustrating, and it happened in any any circumstance. I went to a business event that was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to start at a certain time, and it started, I think, 3 hours later.
Oh
And
gosh.
everybody, and we were sweating. And it was like, and to me, it's like, why is nobody outraged? Everybody's like taking selfies. And I'm like, why? Like, if I had a car, I would have left or something. But I'm like, why is everybody okay with this whole thing
It's
being
so
three
funny.
hours late?
I would have thought the
Um,
same thing. Like, then you can't even be mad because no one else is mad.
Yeah, because nobody. So you're gonna be mad at yourself, and like you be the only one frowning while everybody's like having a great time. So I just had to calm down and be like, okay, just go with the flow. it was really hot. There was no AC, and everybody was
Oh God.
normal. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like I'm gonna get on my watch. So it happened at the business event. It happened even at the government event, like at the ministry. We were waiting for the minister of tourism and all of that, and we waited, and nobody complained about nothing. And to me, it was like, come on, this is like an official meeting. Like
I'm
there's
trying not to
journalists
laugh.
here. There's like, it's not like, oh, let's just have like a meeting with some private meeting. No, it's like an official meeting.
Yeah.
And it happens too with, acquaintances, with friends and all that when we go to places. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm ready, let's go. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Remember how you were saying like you moved to the States and now you're officially a citizen of the US? Like that's your American showing.
yes, yes,
We
that's,
are so like go, 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 like efficiency. And
yes,
it's funny
exactly.
how we have those times. We have colored people time, Caribbean people time. Tonight it's Africa time, but
Yes,
it's like the time of people who are just like, yeah, we're
yeah,
just okay. We're flexible, like, but we're
yeah.
not like that in the States. We are like go, go,
No,
go. I
if you
would have been
tell me,
dying with you.
right, if you tell me you're coming at 12, I'm expecting you at between 12 and 12:15.
Yeah,
Not like 12:30 or 1. No, you're supposed to be here like, I'll
I
give
get
you 15,
upset
15 minutes
because
late if I have to go to
if
that.
you text me at 12:15 saying I'm running late, I'm like, you knew that you were
No.
going to be late at 11:50. So why did you text me at
Yeah.
11:50? Yeah, it's actually
Yeah.
something similar here, and it's very. I
Yes.
think that's
Yes.
pretty everywhere I went here in Honduras, La República Dominicana, Argentina. Like it is very much like that. Like everyone,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's beneficial. I like that. I had a boss that used to micromanage me back in
Mm.
2014, and like she was crazy, y'all. Like she was a Karen. I'm gonna say she was Karen. Like I vividly remember getting at my job at 12:03, and I ended up leaving this job, y'all. It's a true story. Let's say work started at 8, and I showed up at like 8:02 a.m. one day. And she was like waiting for me in the office. Like, where were you?
What?
Parking my car. It was like 8:02, y'all. She's like, well, I can
Wow.
write you up for abandonment of job right now.
What?
That's
In 2 minutes?
Yeah, that was the silliest thing in the world. Like I just laughed
Mm.
about it. But yeah, here that's not the case at all. People are rolling in. Like people are just rolling in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah, and it's like I can expect that, okay, maybe like if you have an appointment with somebody like a real estate agent or
Yeah.
whatever. But like government officials and business meetings where there's like the press is here and everything and nobody says nothing. I'm like, this is too
Okay.
much.
This was pretty much the end of our live tonight. I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure that you guys
Yeah.
did see. This is a part 2 live. So if you just joined us, we are doing the top 10 questions that you guys have about living abroad in Africa, in African countries or Latin American countries. I'm in Honduras. And Dr. Linda is our expert on all things Africa, especially Cameroon. And I, exactly. I always say Ivory Coast because I just feel like I can't say it. I'm so sorry.
Yes, officially Cote d'Ivoire. They're like we don't want our name to be in English.
Yeah,
They want it
I
in
know. I need to do better. I can do better. I can do better. So part 2 will take place tomorrow,
Yeah.
same time.
Same time tomorrow
So the
on
link
my
is
channel, Tokende Travel.
Yep. If there's no questions tonight, thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. I don't know if you want to
Yay.
say anything to our viewers, Dr. Linda, or
Come to Africa.
no.
Come on our side. No, just to say that
we'll battle it out tomorrow. Come to our side where we start things only a little bit late now.
no, just to say, wherever you want to go, just start planning. It's watch Jocelyn's channel. She has a lot of videos. I have a lot of videos on my channel as well. And just start your research. It doesn't have to be something you do tomorrow, but the more you know, the better you prepare.
Yeah.
The easier it's going to be for you to transition into.
Yeah, the more you know for sure.
Yep.
And I always tell people, and I'll end with this because I'll just keep you guys on here talking all night. Is worst case scenario, let's say you come to a country, Latin America, Africa, who knows, Europe, and you go there and you absolutely hate it. You were like, I don't know why I thought I would love Denmark. You get there and you just absolutely hate it. You are not a tree. You will not grow roots and be unable to move or leave.
Yeah.
You can literally go right. Most of us are not the CEO of Amazon. So most of us, because we are not the CEO of Amazon and we are teachers and sales agents and financial advisors, we can literally go back to exactly what we were doing before.
Yeah.
So
yeah. You do the same thing reverse, like the same thing you did to go, just do the same thing to go back. I mean, if you're going back home technically, so it's going to be even easier because you know where you're going, you know where to find a house, you know who to stay with. So the return is even going to be easier for you to do. So don't feel like this is a pressure. This is a all win. I have to make it work.
Yeah,
it's all good.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for coming tonight, and we will see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Bye.